Hi, my name is Emma, and I'm a volunteer museum educator here at Lancaster History. Now, today we will be discussing mourning practices of the Victorian era. Now, many of you may be familiar with mourning clothing, which dominated Victorian society, due in part to the fact that Queen Victoria was a lifelong mourner of her husband, Prince Albert. But there was more to mourning practices than just wearing clothing. Now, you might be wondering why we're starting this video here in Harriet's bedchamber. Well, that is because during the period of mourning, Harriet and other immediate family members would not be expected to greet mourners and guests. Over the course of 3 days, there would be 4,000 mourners who would come to see James Buchanan's body, which was laid out in the Broad Hall, whereas Harriet would be sequestered away privately for mourning. It was also very common to preserve locks of the deceased's hair in mourning jewelry. Sometimes these locks of hair would be braided to fit the shape of the pendant, and other times the lock would be arranged along other motifs. Harriet's mourning bracelet for her uncle Buchanan had a lock of his hair encased with a bit of evergreen needles from Wheatland. The lock of his hair is preserved on the inside of the bracelet, meaning it would rest directly against Harriet's wrist. The exterior, or visible part of the bracelet, is a cameo. Another common practice was that once a death occurred in the house, all clocks would be stopped at the time of death. Now, James Buchanan died at 8:30 on June 1st, so all clocks would be stopped at 8:30, like this clock here. They would also cover portraits of the deceased with black crepe. And once all this was done, they would turn over any portrait or photo of another person, as it was believed that if they were up, that the deceased soul could take their souls with them. They also covered up mirrors with black crepe because they did not want the deceased soul getting stuck in them. Now, when it was time for the deceased to be buried, they would take the casket out of the home feet first. And that was because in this era, people believed that if the deceased was looking at the house as they left, they would take away any other living soul with them. So pictured here is Buchanan being taken out by pallbearers, feet first. Death was a part of everyday life in the Victorian era, and mourning rituals such as the ones we discussed gave people structure, stability, and comfort in a time where grief can just upturn your life at any moment. So until next time, I'm Emma, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Wheatland in Detail. Bye!